Fox Business Alert, there is a galactic showdown heating up in the world of quantum computing, and one company in particular just made a quantum leap of its own. D-Wave, the quantum pioneer, posted a 509% jump in revenue in the first quarter. Its stock skyrocketed 51% yesterday and right now is adding another 6% to the price, which stands at $11.06 right now. D-Wave says its quantum system has achieved, quote, quantum supremacy, but some in the science community have pushed back, saying it's, this is a term, annealing technology is not practical for solving real-world problems. I would imagine the CEO, Dr. Alan Baratz, disagrees. He's the president and CEO of D-Wave Quantum. He's joining me now in a Fox Business exclusive. Okay. First, let's tackle the problem that you were able to solve. Alan, explain to our viewers exactly what it was.
Sure. So first of all, Liz, thank you for the opportunity to join you today. Sure. Basically, what we were able to do is to perform a simulation of a set of magnetic materials, basically looking at when they go through what's known as a phase transition. This is like water turning to ice. Mm-hmm. Now, this is a computation that we were able to perform on our quantum computers in minutes that would take well over 1 million years to perform on the fastest supercomputers in the world.
Magnetic materials, for people who don't know, are widely used in medical technology. I know it's used in imaging, electronics, supercomputers, obviously, sensors, motors. But when you look at the real-world application of this, who is banging on your door right now to say, let me at this, because this could be a total game changer?
So Liz, you're absolutely right. Magnetic materials are widely used, and one of the main uses is as sensors. And what's really important about magnetic materials as sensors is that they are most sensitive at that phase transition point. So what is of interest to those developing these devices is to understand what would be the best materials to deliver the best results in their products, imaging devices. Now, by using our system, they can basically explore different materials digitally without needing to manufacture them and test them. And this allows them to move more rapidly in identifying the best way to develop new products.
So part of the reason that you saw such a big jump in your revenue was that you sold, as I understand it, one of these quantum computers to a German company called Jülich. Give me a sense of exactly what they are going to use it for and how much this machine costs.
Yeah, so this system was sold to the Jülich Supercomputing Center. Basically, they are interested in using the machine to do research into new optimization and artificial intelligence workflows. So their plan is to connect our quantum computer to their exascale supercomputer. That is a massively parallel GPU-based system to basically look at how you might be able to do things like model training and AI inference faster with better results and potentially, and this is really important, lower electricity consumption.
In January, okay, you sold that machine. Do you have others that are about to be sold, and to what type of customer?
Yeah, so that machine was sold, frankly, as a result of the quantum supremacy work that we did. That work caught the attention of the supercomputer community and national labs around the world with a realization that these systems could be used to do some very interesting deep research into new areas. Jülich was the first to approach us about purchasing a system. And we completed that transaction at the end of last year and delivered the system to them this quarter and announced record revenue this quarter as a result of the delivery of that system. We now have a number of other institutions that have approached us with interest in potentially purchasing a system as well. But as I'm sure you can understand, these are long lead time sales cycles because of the fact that the systems are quite pricey, anywhere from $20 to $40 million for a system.
20 to 40 million. I saw you had more than 300 million on your balance sheet, so it sounds like you at least have some capital there. It's probably certainly helpful to have that. Whose GPUs are you using in these machines?
So the exascale supercomputer at ULIC is 25,000 NVIDIA GPUs. And that's what our quantum computer will be connected to explore these new workflows and use cases.
Okay. Jensen Huang, of course, of NVIDIA, had said at just after CES, and it kind of slammed a lot of the quantum computing stocks. He said, oh, quantum computing is 10 to 25. You know, it's always 10 years out. He said it was really going to be 15 to 30 years away. That was a bee in your bonnet. You didn't love that. You spoke to him. But what did you say at that point about why he was wrong?
Yeah. So the problem with Jensen's comment was that he said useful quantum computing is 15 to 30 years away. Now, he didn't distinguish between different types of quantum computers. And it is true that some approaches to quantum computing will take many years yet to mature and deliver commercial value. But our quantum computers, our approach to quantum computing has allowed us to deliver systems that are not only useful today, but they are being used by customers in production today as part of their business operations. For example, we just announced that Ford Otosan, a joint venture of Ford Motor Company and Koç Holdings in Turkey, is now using our quantum computer to optimize how they do assembly of automotive bodies. So we are commercial today. We are delivering value to the marketplace with useful applications. And that's why I took exception to his comment.
I understand. I understand. And the fact that you've got a deal with Ford and this partner, plus you're in a food company's business now, helping them with logistics. But why can't AI do logistics work just as well? Like, what can you do better than AI? Because a lot of people are using AI to help with logistics.
Yeah, so that's a really interesting question. And it has to do with the fact that typically we end up being used to solve problems that are very, very hard to solve classically. So, for example, a problem known as the traveling salesperson problem. You want to start at one city, you want to visit a set of other cities to sell your wares, and you want to find the shortest path to visit those cities. That's what's known as an exponentially hard problem. What that means is that the amount of computation required to solve that problem grows exponentially, very, very fast, with the size of the problem. Classical computers cannot keep up with that. AI today runs on classical computers. There's just no way to perform that computation efficiently on classical computers, and that's where quantum computing comes in.
Alan, my mom had 5 little kids. At one point, this one was in horseback riding lessons. I was in tennis and piano. She could have used that logistics for her abilities. Thank you so much. It's fascinating to hear about quantum computing and the success of D-Wave. Please come back. I want to see your next quarter. What kind of, I guess, momentum that you get. So we'd appreciate that.